The big news right now is the 2024 presidential race, and we have some breaking news on that front as well. NewsNation will be hosting the next Republican primary debate. It will be the final debate of this year. The GOP presidential candidates will be squaring off in a live primetime event at the University of Alabama. It is Wednesday, December 6th. SiriusXM's Megyn Kelly and NewsNation's Elizabeth Vargas will moderate this 2-hour event in partnership with the Washington Free Beacon. We will have extensive coverage before and after this highly anticipated debate from the home of the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. So make sure you set your calendar now. The NewsNation Republican primary debate live from the University of Alabama, Wednesday, December 6th, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. We're excited about it. NewsNation political contributor and former White House press secretary Sean Spicer with us now to talk more about it. And it's going to be make or break, that next debate, because we're ahead of the Iowa caucuses. Talk about why this moment is so important, and will we see 5 candidates on that stage?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate NewsNation and the team there. You guys have come on the scene so strong. Put together just an amazing set of programming throughout the day, and I think it reflects the professionalism and the kind of news that NewsNation puts out every day, the people that they bring on, that they have the confidence in this organization to host this critical debate. So kudos to the team at NewsNation, because it's well-deserved, and I think you're going to kill it when it comes to the expectations, like you do every day. So I think that just need to pause, pump the brakes, and congratulate the team on camera and behind camera, who've done such a great job of launching the network and making people take notice. The work that NewsNation did last cycle with a lot of these Senate debates, showing people from around the country they could tune in, learn about the candidates, learn about the issues that were important as they made their key decisions, I think was critical to laying the ground to the RNC, seeing what so many people around the country have seen when it comes to what this network offers. So I just want to make sure we give credit where credit is due to all the hard work and the how far NewsNation has come since launching. So that's the first thing I'd say. Second, when it comes to the debate itself, couldn't happen at a more critical time. I think the big winner last night was Iowa. Iowa is the winner. If DeSantis, Haley, or anybody else doesn't show strong in Iowa, the race is over. This debate will be critical. It will be a last look as people in Iowa who are getting ready to head to the caucus a month from that debate will have a last chance to hear in a much more expansive way. And last night, I think we did that. 5 candidates on the stage. We really had a more substantive debate, I think, on the issues, understanding the differences. My guess, if I had to look into the crystal ball, is that we're going to see 3 candidates on stage in Tuscaloosa.
And who will those 3 be?
Well, it's going to be Haley, DeSantis, and Ramaswamy. I think you saw Tim Scott barely make that debate stage, and I think there was a little bit of fudging to get him on stage last night. Chris Christie, I just don't know that he's going to have the poll numbers. He might have the donor numbers. He's not going to have the poll numbers. Now, I could be wrong on both of these things. As that field winnows a little, maybe they get that extra ump to get him over the top. But I think it's going to be tough. I think it's the right thing. Making sure that people know that the candidates that they're seeing on stage are viable is what's critical here. And that's the important thing. If you're basically still fishing to get on stage because you have to figure out the donor requirement, that just shows that you don't have the support. So my guess is that we're going to have a really substantive debate come December.
What I appreciated about the debate that we saw last night and the debate that we're planning for next month is it was more substantive. The candidates got a little bit more time to talk, right? But there were also some incendiary moments, and those were hard to miss, a few jaw droppers. And one of those key moments included an exchange between Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley. This was a prickly exchange when he called out her daughter and her use of TikTok. Will that come back to bite him? There was some boos in the audience. There was not a handshake at the end of the debate. How do you think that will play in the next few weeks leading into their next face-off?
Yeah, look, I think 2 things that were important about that exchange. One, it wasn't just that one. He came out swinging. I think it was very petty of Ramaswamy to go after her daughter. Now, just keep in mind, Haley's daughter is an adult. I think it would be insulting for a parent to come and tell an adult child what to do or what not to do. Nikki Haley's very clear. She's her own woman. She's got her own set of policies. It's very different if this was a 10-year-old kid that the parent was allowing to hang out on TikTok. It's an adult child. Ramaswamy looked petty, and I think he's going to pay a price for that. Secondly, I think it was a bit hypocritical. This is a guy who talks tough on China and has everybody else trying to push him out on the ropes on their position on China, and yet is going on an app that our government has deemed a national security threat. So I don't really think he was in a position to make the accusation to begin with, and the accusation itself was rather petty. My guess is that he doesn't, he pays a price politically for this.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.